Crypto taxes in 2026 are mostly a data problem. The IRS wants standardized reporting, but your on-chain history is fragmented across exchanges, wallets, bridges, and DeFi protocols, which is why people end up with missing cost basis and bad gain numbers. The 2026 shift is that broker reporting is becoming more structured around Form 1099-DA. Brokers report digital asset proceeds on 1099-DA for certain sale or exchange transactions. And taxpayers can use those statements as a record for reporting and reconciliation. The first rule of compliance is not trust the form, it's reconcile the form. 1099-D may not cover everything you did on-chain. It may not reflect DeFi internal movements, and it won't magically fix missing cost basis from transfers between platforms. So your workflow starts with one objective: build a single source of truth for cost basis, proceeds, and transaction types. That means pulling data from every exchange and wallet that touched your crypto during the year. Step 1 is export. Download CSVs from centralized exchanges, pull wallet transaction history, and keep copies of every report version. Your future self needs repeatable documentation, not screenshots. Step 2 is normalize. Every line gets mapped to a small set of categories: buys, sells, transfers, swaps, fees, rewards, and unknown. Unknown is not a failure, it is simply your to-do list. Step 3 is cost basis rules. The IRS has addressed how taxpayers should determine and identify cost basis for digital assets and has emphasized correct identification methods. Specific identification and FIFO are core concepts, and mistakes often happen when people treat units as coming from a different wallet than the one actually used. Here's the practical takeaway: if you can't specifically identify units correctly, your system will default to FIFO assumptions that may inflate gains. If you mix wallets and use a universal cost basis approach incorrectly, you can create a defensibility problem. Now we tackle DeFi. The biggest DeFi tax failure mode is treating everything as a transfer when it's cash, actually an exchange or treating LP activity as simple deposits and withdrawals without tracking what you received and what you gave up. Your defensible approach is to record DeFi events by what they functionally did. Did you dispose of an asset, receive a different asset, or receive income? For liquidity pools, the compliance goal is to create a consistent method to record when tokens are swapped, when LP tokens are received, and when they are redeemed, and to track fees and rewards separately so they don't disappear into the noise. Next, airdrops and forks. IRS guidance has stated that if you receive units of new cryptocurrency following a hard fork and you have dominion and control over the units, you have gross income. The dominion and control idea is critical for timing because it focuses on when the asset is actually accessible. For airdrops that are not hard forks the same, can you control it? Principal is a practical way to document timing, when you could actually transfer or sell the asset and what its fair market value was at that time. Now the audit-ready layer. An audit file is not just your tax return, it's a folder that proves your method. Your audit file should include raw exports, a reconciliation sheet, a list of wallets exchanges used, the method you used for identification, and a final gains-loss report that ties to your forms. If you want your report to be defensible, you also need a gap log, a list of unknown transactions and how you resolve them. When a transaction can't be resolved, document it instead of deleting it. Finally, the clean goal for 2026 is this: your crypto tax compliance should be a repeatable process that converts chaotic ledger data into a consistent cost basis model, reconciles 1099s statements, and produces documentation you can defend.